Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Candidate Forum for Sacramento Office of Education, Trustee Area 3. I'm Paula Lee, a member of the League of Women Voters of Sacramento County, and tonight's moderator. Please turn off your cell phones, put them away, don't record anything, and please refrain from clapping until the very end. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan, nonprofit volunteer organization of women and men. Our mission is to encourage participation in government through education and through advocacy. We don't support or oppose or evaluate candidates or parties. However, we do take positions on public policy measures, ballot measures, state legislation, and we take those positions based on our positions that we get to through studies, extensive studies, I might add, and a consensus process. If you're interested in helping making democracy work, if you're interested in public policy at any level of government, consider joining our all-volunteer Sacramento League of Women Voters. We're open to everyone. We just keep that name, because of the historical significance. Remember, women got the vote in 1920, so we don't want to give that the name. We have active committees that are working on things you might be interested in, like voter education and engagement, homelessness and housing, criminal justice, climate change, and ranked choice voting. The questions tonight were solicited in advance from this Arden Arcade community in the unincorporated county of Sacramento. The candidates tonight for Office of Education, Trustee Area 3, are Annie Fisher and Paul Kiefer. Each candidate is going to make a 1.5 minute opening statement, and then they'll have 1.5 minutes to answer the questions, which is plenty of time. And then they will make a 1 minute closing statement. The League's timekeeper tonight is Jay, right there, candidates. He's got the paddles that will tell you when you have 30 seconds left and when it's time to stop. And I'll just rotate back and forth who answers the questions first. So thanks for being here. And we will begin with an opening statement from Annie Fisher. Annie?
Thank you, Paula. Thank you for coming. My name is Annie Fisher, and I am a resident here of Arden Arcade. I've lived here since 2018, and that's after returning back, having grown up here, part of my childhood in Sacramento, just a couple miles from where I live now. I returned here in 2018 with my husband. At the time we had one daughter, now we have two. We're very active in our community. We have our older daughter in public schools. The second one is gonna be in a public school as soon as she ages into the system. And it's through that community involvement that I first started hearing, in fact, just about the Sacramento County Office of Education. And as I learned more and more about it, I saw that there's an opportunity for me to give a little bit more to my community using my lived experience as a housing insecure child, as a person with a disability, and as a local mom. So I think I can really connect with not only the students served by SCOE itself, but also with the school districts that SCOE has an influential relationship with. Thanks.
Paul Kiefer?
Yes, thank you, Paula, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for putting this event on, and also thanks to the Fulton El Camino Recreation and Park District. My role for the last 8 years as a sitting board member, as trustee for Area 3, has led me to not only know this area very well, but also both the challenges and the opportunities for our students. I feel that my experience with 25 years in public education Also my experience working at United Parcel Service in management, those two combined to allow me to see both the big picture and also the granular work that needs to be done for students so that they're able to achieve mastery in their academic endeavors. I have 3 children. All 3 went through public schools in the San Juan district, and I'm married to my wife. We've been married for, it'll be 30 years next year. And I've lived in this area for 29 years. I'm a member of Carmichael Heart. I'm a member of the Sacramento Rotary Club. And in fact, next year I'll be the president of our club in the Sacramento Rotary Club. I'm excited to be here. I'm glad to have my opponent here, Annie. I look forward to getting to know her better. And certainly I look forward to tonight. Thank you.
Okay, first question for you, Annie. The California School Dashboard for 2025 rates schools run by SCOE, that's the Sacramento Office of Education, that I'll refer to from now on as SCOE, as seriously deficient red zone for English learner progress, graduation rates, college and career preparation, and marginally deficient for suspension rates, English language arts, and mathematics. Admittedly, SCOE's student body includes students with particularly challenging circumstances. Do you think SCOE's schools should be at the low end of performance factors, and if so, what can you do about it as trustee?
So no, absolutely, SCOE schools should not be at the low end of performance factors, and it is easy to kind of brush off that they are, right? The SCOE schools are serving an marginalized and underserved population. They're serving special ed kids. They're serving children who are in the juvenile system, juvenile hall system. They're serving a lot of foster youth and migrant youth. And we have this tendency just, to come up with excuses for why things aren't going well. And that's an easy one to say, oh, it's because of these other problems, not ours. But it is our problem, right? So when we are faced with a challenge, when we are faced with populations that need more, it's up to us to give more, and it's up to us to identify the solutions that are going to help bring parity. So what's our universal goal? Our universal goal is to make sure that a significant number of students are met or exceeding our standards, and it doesn't matter who those students are. And so I would just address it in my role as trustee. I would address those issues by just saying, what do we have to do to get them there? And then I would create relationships so we can do that. We can do that together.
Paul?
I appreciate the question. I'm really proud of the work we're doing at SCOE with our students. SCOE is a recipient of students that have been expelled from their other schools. We also have El Centro or Juvenile Hall. In both cases, the students are with us for an itinerant period of time, and because of that, because of the break in their own academic continuity, their scores will be lower, and the dashboard is not set up for allowing for students to have this type of academic experience. I can say I'm very proud of the fact that we are offering our students the opportunity in El Centro, Juvenile Hall, to actually take courses at the Lake Tahoe Community College. And just this last year, we were able to transfer as juniors 3 students to University of California, Davis, because of the fact that we do have high expectations for our students, and we do want to create opportunities that they can exceed their own family's expectations of them. So not only do we get them on the right track, but we also give them a clear vision and purpose for their own lives. Just so we're clear, in this community here, it is striving for success. Currently, every single school that's in this area, Greer, Howe Ave, Arcade, Encina, Cottage, Dyer Kelly, all those schools are red or orange in mathematics and language arts. That's where the crisis is. The crisis isn't where SCOE, the crisis is here, knowing that these students need to know how to learn how to read early, and they need all the support they can, as well as the families. So I appreciate the question.
Paul, the Fulton El Camino Recreation and Park District does not have a gymnasium. For decades, the Park District operated in partnership with SCOE for joint use of the gymnasium at the Eleanor Hickey Leo Palmetier site. focused on basketball for at-risk youth. The Park District routinely refinished the gym floor, repaired the bleachers, and provided a scoreboard. SCOE terminated the relationship with the Park District some 20 years ago. Do you believe it would serve the community to reopen the gym in partnership with the Park District? And if so, are you willing to champion the effort?
Absolutely. I will bring this up at the next board meeting on Tuesday night. That was before my time, but I think the facilities that are public facilities should be available to all the citizens in the community, especially those that allow students and families to have opportunities to use them after hours when they don't conflict with the daily instruction of the organizations and schools. So yes, I support that, and I will certainly bring that back when our board meeting next week.
Annie?
Yes. Yes, on all points. Agreed. Yeah, these schools are within our community. They're a part of our community. Like, these are our community members. In fact, I was just at Leo Palmer last month eating lunch from the students who made my lunch, so that was really wonderful. But if there is an opportunity to integrate with the community and to have more of an in-depth and meaningful relationship with our community, we should absolutely do that. I have heard that some of the concerns about keeping that gymnasium open and available off hours to the FECRPD were related to staffing it with janitors and the janitorial service. So I would ask that the board consider what kind of compromise they can make in terms of either having it staffed or allowing the Parks District to staff when they are not in service.
Annie, there have been major scandals in Sacramento County related to charter schools, including the most recent Highlands charter situation where the public was defrauded out of $180 million. Where do you stand on charter schools? And if you do support them, do you think public charter schools should be subjected to the same oversight and accountability measures applied to non-charter public schools?
So that actually was, part of what piqued my interest about this position, of course, and just my awareness of the Sacramento County Office of Education was, it was some of the scandals having to do with our local charter schools. I will say that I am inherently not a pro-charter school person. I am not. I find them divisive. I find that where we could build community and improve community together, charter schools often serve to pull people apart and separate us from one another rather than give us an opportunity to recreate, together. So inherently, I'm not a huge fan of charter schools. However, they do exist, and the law says they exist. So what the law doesn't say is that the charter schools need to follow the same criteria as our public schools, and I do think that's where we need to change it. We're told, provide accountability, provide oversight, but when you look down at the rules, they're not very detailed. Our public schools do have significantly more rules to follow than our charter schools. So yes, I do think our charter schools, since they exist, should have to live within the same rules and laws as the rest of our publicly funded schools in this state.
Paul?
Yeah, I'd like to set the record straight. The charter school, my opponent has linked me to the Highlands Charter School, and this is a difficult job being on a county board because the rules and the laws actually are explicit. Twin Rivers authorized that school that we're talking about. I have no say on how that school is authorized, nor do I have any say unless it comes to me on appeal to the county office. The county office currently has 3 charter schools that we've authorized ourselves, and authorization is as important as getting the charter school going. I'm a fan of charter schools. I think they provide an integral link to academic options for students that aren't able to find high quality education in their communities. And we have some in this community already that are helping to support families who are looking for high quality educational choices. when it comes to understanding the theft or anything that's happened within a charter school, they're held accountable, which is exactly what we want, much like we want the other public schools, like Sac City School District. You're held accountable to what your charge is, and you're expected to make sure that you can manage it in a way that ensures continuity of learning for our students, that they're able to achieve mastery.
Paul, a significant number of SCOE's full-time employees earn less than a living wage for this county and must live far away where living costs are lower, take second jobs to make ends meet or make other adjustments. Yet the SCOE budget shows that about half of SCOE's personnel costs are for management positions. Public salary data show that the SCOE superintendent as well as 8 other administrative employees make significantly more than our governor does. Are the personnel costs and levels of compensation appropriate? Why or why not?
So SCOE has a clear indicator of what public schools are paying, county offices and public schools pay their educational leaders, and it's in line with Sac City, it's in line with San Juan, so it's not an oddity that's what they're paid. I certainly want higher wages for our frontline employees, and I support that. And so when there's an opportunity as a board member to help to create that access for our frontline staff with our leadership team, then I will I'm certainly be the first in line to help provide that support for those employees.
Go ahead, Annie.
Thank you. Yeah, so when I started learning about the pay disparity between the classified staff and the management staff, not only in SCOE, but also just in education school districts throughout the state, it is wild to me. Like we have leaders in state government who are making significantly less than not even the superintendents, but the superintendent's assistants and staff and fellow management, and that really just blew my mind. So I understand that salary decisions are made by looking at other salary, like similar salaries and some people who are holding similar positions, but that doesn't mean that those positions aren't already overinflated. Like those wages are astronomically high, and the fact that there's so much disparity between, say, like a janitor or a coach and a manager, like that is a travesty. So I do think that that's something that should be addressed, and ethically I think we have a duty to address it. And if we are going to make sure we're going to give our classified staff raises, maybe it's time for those people in higher positions to slow it down and say, we're not going to take those raises this year because we need to close that gap between the people doing the work on this level and then the people doing the management work.
On that same note about wages, Annie, it's estimated that more than 40% of students attending schools run by the county have disabilities. Special education programs cannot succeed without qualified professionals who feel valued and supported. So is SCOE obligated to help school districts improve special education systems in our region? And do you have any specific plans to advocate for improved wages, retention, and working conditions for special education teachers, specifically para-educators and support staff within SCOE schools?
Absolutely, and obviously special education is something that is near and dear to my heart. I am a disability advocate as a state employee, as well as I've mentioned, somebody with multiple disabilities. So to start there, SCOE doesn't have, they don't get to tell the districts what to do, right? I understand this, but SCOE does have influence, and they do get to make recommendations, and at the very least, they get to serve as an example and say, hey, this is what we're doing, this is what's working. And one thing that I'd like to see us do as the County Office of Education is make sure that all of our classified staff, our teachers, our students have their basic human needs provided for. So if we're worrying about how we're going to pay the bills, we're not going to be good at our jobs. If we're worrying about the fact we haven't eaten, we're not going to be good learners. And that goes both ways. That goes for the people doing the work and the students they're serving, and of course the parents trying to get their kids to school. And having been someone who was hungry a lot and didn't have a home, I know exactly what it's like when you can't pay the bills. And let me tell you, you don't do a good job in school and you're not going to be a great employee.
Go ahead, Paul.
Great, and thanks, Annie. I appreciate your lived experience, and I appreciate your comments. When it comes to special education and the Sacramento County Office of Education, we do an exceptional job supporting districts through a variety of programs. Just last Thursday, I was at our foundations graduation, which was 8 students, all who are adults, who will be leaving the SCOE family, and some of them have been with us since they were born. Our birth all the way through to 22 work we do with Galt and Elk Grove, Conzelmann, Oaks High School, and many others. We help to bridge the gap for those students for the districts that require us to help them to do that work. We have an incredible team of educators and leaders in special education. And in fact, we have staff who help lead statewide initiatives at CDE. And so we're proud of our team, we're proud of the work we do, and we're proud of our partnerships with all the groups and schools that we work with. The graduation is incredible because we know these students are going to be going back to their families, and we're hoping that the community has the resources to allow these students to have a place where they can be adults and have a career, have a life with their families and their community. And so we're proud of the work we do. I'm proud of being part of SCOE and the work they do, and I know the work they do is super difficult and very rewarding.
Paul, California Education Code 41372 requires school districts to spend a minimum percentage of their budget on classroom instruction, teacher salaries, and benefits. In K through 12 schools, that minimum percentage is 55%. SCOE approved a waiver for the Twin Rivers School District so that they could pay only 51% for classroom instruction. That arguably led to one of the longest teacher strikes in California history. What is your position on providing school districts with waivers to spend less on instruction?
Well, I'm not sure if they spent less when it comes to percentages, because there's many dollars that go into a school district that are there's your LCFF funding, but there's other funding. There's state funding, there's federal funds. And so I don't know the details on that. What I do know is the law was set up. If you can't make the 55%, you get a waiver. And clearly they did exactly what they were supposed to do as a district. They also have to negotiate with the teachers. Certainly, is this a cause and effect? I have no idea. What I would say is both parties have to negotiate in good faith, and they're no longer striking, and they're working, and that's great. It's great for the students and the families, and it's great for the teachers and the districts. So, thank you.
Annie?
Thank you. So this kind of goes into something that I've just been really curious about. I'm aware of the 55% rule, and then I've also started to learn that sometimes things get allocated. Sometimes services, instructional services, things that you and I might consider instruction and teaching, sometimes they get classified as something other than, or vice versa. And so really this just brings me back to my kind of passion for looking at the books. So I would just really appreciate forming relationships with districts if they are having trouble hitting that 55%, if they're having trouble with other financial questions, maybe we look down and see, okay, well, what are we spending our money on? Where is it being allocated? Is it being properly allocated? Is it being, reported in the right places? So that's how I would start by addressing that, and hopefully we can avoid future strikes in the future by making sure we're spending our money wisely.
Annie, SCOE provides education for disadvantaged youth whose lives have been upended by factors like teen pregnancy and problems with the law. Many such students do not have parent advocacy resources available to them, as might function in more privileged parts of the county. SCOE is something of a last resort for these at-risk youth, able to keep them, rebuild their lives, and become functioning members of society. And the labor force, so is SCOE doing enough for these kids? What would you strive to change, if anything?
Like all of us, it's never enough. It's not going to be enough. What SCOE's doing is not enough, and SCOE's doing a lot. I recognize that. I've read the reports, I've seen the interventions, and I do love it. But we need to do more. I read some reports on how to better serve, this demographic of student. Okay, well, we don't just need to keep writing reports. We need to actually just engage with these students. We need to actually engage with our school districts and form relationships with them and ask people, like, what do you want? How can I serve you? How can I support you? So we don't need to just keep talking about the services we provided. We need to make sure people know about the services we're providing. We need to make sure that they know how to access them. We need to take it from the next level, from saying, hey, look at the cool stuff we set up, to actually implementing it so that people are aware of it and people can use it, and it makes an observable difference in these students' lives. So SCOE right now, I love where they're going. It's so great. And now we get to take it the step farther from talking about it to putting things in action.
Go ahead, Paul.
So the question about resources for our students. So just 2 weeks ago, I was at a focus group at Hickey, and there were 6 students, 4 high school and 2 middle school. And it was led by one of our clinicians. And so SCOE successfully partnered with the county office, or the county supervisors, so that we were able to offer those clinical services to students. And now we're in 60 schools in Sacramento County. And in fact, one of the clinicians is at SCOE, led that session with the students. And amazingly, the students have never been so happy being at a SCOE school, because they don't have to deal with the pressures that were getting them into a place that they weren't successful at the other schools. That's great. Then on top of that, they're making friends because they have a shared past, but they're realizing that they have a shared really great future. They love the staff that supports them. They love the support staff that supports them, because they always greet them in the morning and they make sure they're welcomed, and they want to stay with us. And through different arrangements with the districts, the districts want to get their students back, and we want to make sure they have a smooth transition. And so it's complicated. Every time a student's taken out of a learning setting, it can stunt their ability to learn because of the transition. And so our goal is to make sure we keep them on a nice smooth ride and get really stronger in their academics, and also how they can feel great about themselves.
Paul, in general, SCOE board makes policy decisions, and the superintendent, who's responsible to the board, executes the policies by hiring staff and administering programs. How do County Board of Education members make sure that their sole employee, the appointed superintendent, is accountable to the public for the employment and program operations decisions made by that superintendent?
So much of it is dictated by state law and ed code, and so we align ourselves with the state, with ed code, and then our local policies are built upon that foundational expertise. And so we belong to CSBA, and we belong to the tools that they use to help ensure alignment. And using that continuity, our superintendent is the most tenured superintendent in California, most likely, but certainly his long tenure with our county. He's a leader in the county, and his leadership allows us to grow SCOE, both in what we're able to offer the community, but also best practices on how to allow the great staff at SCOE the ability to be adventurous with academic opportunities, much like I just spoke of with Lake Tahoe Community College, and our students are getting transfer credits to go to UC Davis. That just doesn't happen that's not a regular occurrence in a juvenile hall in California. And so we hold our superintendent accountable to the policies, but what's better is he has high integrity with a great reputation, and so Our worry isn't about his ability to do his job. Our expectation is to make sure he has all the runway so he's able to ensure more and more students have access to great programs.
Thank you. So recognizing that I don't currently sit on the board, so I'm going to kind of say what I believe the board should be. So the board exists for a reason. The board they are the appointer of the superintendent. So that is the basis of the relationship, meaning that the superintendent does serve at the pleasure of the board. Now, ideally, you're going to hire somebody very well qualified, very skilled, somebody with the right relationships to help make things happen, but you don't want to let your employee go rogue, right? As parents, you may have the best kid, the most incredible kid in the whole wide world, but you don't just leave them to their own devices. You have ongoing conversations with them, regular check-ins, make sure everything's going well, see if there's any way to be of assistance, provide feedback from your community or your family as needed. And that is how the board and superintendent relationship should also go. As employers, we don't just let our employees run wild, because when they do, we're not going to be aligned. Our goals are not going to be aligned. We're not going to get the project done. So in families, in a board relationship, in an employer relationship, we need to be collaborative. We need to work together. And when something needs to be checked, we need to remember to check it.
Annie, SCOE makes decisions regularly, and trustees with conflicts of interest must recuse themselves from participating in some decision-making processes. SCOE weighs in when there are conflicts or when there's an appeal. Should people with inherent conflicts of interest serve on the SCOE board?
I'll say it depends. I know that when I was first considering this opportunity, one of the first things I did was I actually reached out to my employer and said, does this present any conflict? Is there a conflict of interest here? Because I didn't want to do anything that would compromise my position as a state employee in service to my community as a board member, as a trustee. So I won't say you can never do that. And what I was told in my example was, if you're suddenly in a position where you get to be making decisions regarding the health care of people, then yeah, step back. So I recognize that that could happen, and I will step back. But inherently, if someone serves on the board and they through their position serve to financially profit, then I think that's too far. I'm a state employee. I'm not going to profit off my position on the board. So I think if you are in a position where the decisions you make could be a financial benefit to you, could create a financial boon, if you will, then no, it's not appropriate. Our school district employees are not allowed to sit on this board due to that conflict of interest rule, and I wanted to make sure I was able to as a state employee, and I think if someone with further conflicts than that should not put themselves in that position.
Paul?
So conflict of interest is a major, it's an important aspect of being on a board that you have to adhere to clearly. So as a board member, I complete the Form 700. I completed the 2-hour mandatory conflict of interest training. If there is something that might be a conflict, I seek legal support through our legal team to ensure that there won't be a conflict, and certainly there's a conflict of interest laws that are already in place, and so it is cut and dried what you're allowed and not allowed to do. Conflict of interest gets misconstrued by some, but essentially the legislature does a good job of identifying what it is and offers opportunities on how to make sure that you're not falling into that area.
Paul? Poverty and homelessness are serious problems in this community. SCOE's Project Teach and Homeless liaison staff clearly seek to ensure education for homeless school-aged children, but still there are large numbers of children who do not experience economic and social well-being, with disproportionate numbers impacting children of color. Is SCOE doing enough to deal with these problems? What, if anything, would you change?
Well, this is the largest problem in California and certainly the largest problem in Sacramento County. And it's one that keeps rearing its head, and the ones that suffer the most are our most fragile, which are our young students, our young scholars. So to that extent, no one's doing enough, and certainly we're not doing enough in a coordinated effort. And I think that it's something that needs to be front burner. I know at SCOE we have a lot of support resources and a lot of programs for youth to help them find access, but when you're homeless, you're at the will of getting to a school that may or may not be near where you're staying, and it's up to the districts to get them to the school they're supposed to be in, and all those logistics are very difficult. And so we as a country should be way better than what we are. In California, if we're the fourth largest economy in the world, there's no reason for us to be in this position, but it's bad legislation from the state, bad leadership from the state, and it's trickled down to the counties and the cities, and we're suffering because of them. And so hopefully this governor's election will get us someone that actually has a plan and will stick to it, but we shall see.
So, not too long ago, I had the opportunity to attend one of our local community schools, Natomas High School, and I got to go for a volunteer celebration dinner, which means I got to attend that dinner and see how the community has come together in support of Natomas High School, and Natomas High School students and Natomas High School families to help the entire, like everybody involved, thrive together through partnership. That's a state initiative that we started here, and it's going really well. And we're celebrating students all over the state, and we're celebrating community members that are coming together to lift them up to make it happen. This school has a wellness room. They have they have yoga. They have community resources people and organizations who come in to attend to our students who are housing insecure or homeless or have major anxiety or depressive disorder. They're meeting the students and their families where they are. They're providing food to them, and they're doing it by working together. And I think that is a model that we see work, and we need to keep following that model, right? So SCOE can be the leader and say, you know what, we're going to champion this. It's working. We want to go hard, and that's our solution. And I do like that our state came up with that because we care about one another, and that makes me really proud of us.
Annie, traditionally when schools are not in session, weekends, holidays, and summertime, the public has had access to the open spaces at school grounds for outdoor recreation, like playing catch, swinging on the swings, shooting baskets, playing soccer, and so on. Those open spaces are public lands, after all. In recent years, schools have fenced off their open spaces to protect children, with the result being significant reduction in recreation and open space use in the community. Do you believe the public has a right to use public school grounds and public charter school grounds when schools are not in session?
Yes. Absolutely. Growing up, I was that kid who ran around on the school grounds. We did play soccer. We ran back and forth. We made bubbles. We did jump rope. So yeah, the more access all of our kids and our adults, frankly, I mean, come on, what adult doesn't want to swing? So like the more open space and places that we can come together and be outside and celebrate one another, like we shouldn't deny one another that. And I don't like that we're putting up fences. I don't like that, we're putting, actual like policing in our school, like we should stop making our public spaces look unwelcoming, and we should start doing everything we can to make them welcoming so we want to spend time in them, in short.
Paul?
Student safety is paramount, and the schools have done what they've had to do to harden their defenses against intruders and people that are not supposed to be on the campus when the students are there. And so I support districts and their goal for student safety. I also support the use of facilities, but obviously that's a local decision with San Juan Unified. I've already declared that I will work with the SCOE board to see if we can open up Hickey for local needs, for sure. But this other is, it's where we live in this society now. We have gotten to this place for a whole lot of reasons, and to walk it back requires a lot of trust, a lot of community commitment to to their value of the space that they're going to be occupying. What's in it for all the groups so that they can all bring to the table what they're able to promote a positive relational agreement. And to get to that point, it takes time, but it's definitely doable.
Paul, SCOE Area 3 has big portions of both the San Juan Unified and the Twin Rivers Unified School Districts, and some small portions of the Sac Unified School District, and hosts the Eleanor Hickey and Leo Palmatier school campuses. Yet for the public, our County Office of Education is an obscure entity. What do you see as your role as a trustee, especially with respect to the districts and schools within Area 3?
Well, obscure is an interesting word, because when I'm at a graduation for 8 students who've been with us for most of their lives, and it's their graduation, it's those students, their families friends. They know who SCOE is because we were there for them, and they're there for us, and they trusted us. I think the lives that we touch are the lives that they were unseen in the schools where they were, and we see them, and they find us. Certainly, we partner with the districts in many different ways. We have an early literacy component that we've been promoting, that different districts are promoting early literacy in their districts, which is allowing them to increase their student scores towards mastery, because really the point of this is mastery for our students. So we're there to help. We do a lot of training. We do a lot of professional development for the districts. We do teacher education. We do administrative education. So we're an excellent backstop for Sacramento County. I would say we're a high-functioning backstop as a county office. There's 58 in the state, and we're looked upon as really a leader in many ways, and being in the shadow of the Capitol. It's our job to show what best practices look like so that the legislature's capable of seeing it and then looking to implement it in their own communities. So I think that we're doing a good job of getting ourselves out there, and but we could always do better.
Yeah, I think it would be really wonderful if the parents in Sacramento County were more aware of SCOE and the part that it plays in their children's education. So SCOE they don't get to direct the school districts, they don't get to make the decisions for the school districts, but they do get to use their influence to help school districts move forward on things, or make other choices, or entertain new ideas, right? I'm thinking back to that very long teacher strike that we had here very recently, where Maggie Krell actually came in to help negotiate, to use her influence. Does she have any power over the teachers unions and the Twin Rivers School Board? No, she doesn't. But she knew that she was in a position where she might be able to use her voice for good, and I see SCOE as having that same opportunity. So what we need to do as SCOE is we need to form relationships. We need to earn the trust of our districts, of our students, of our schools, and of our teachers and staff. And once we earn that trust, then they can see us as an ally and a partner to help make things happen, help make positive things happen in their lives. So we're there, we have influence, we have power, we might as well use it for good.
All right, it's time for closing statements, and this time we'll begin with Paul.
Once again, I want to thank all the people here that have chosen to spend their time here listening to us speak. I want to thank Access Sacramento for airing this for us after this event. And certainly I want to thank the League of Women Voters and Paula for your hosting. I'd like to thank my opponent, Annie. I appreciate knowing her, and I think that she's a worthy candidate, and I think that her effort and what she's trying to accomplish is good for students. But I do want to say that sitting on the SCOE board there's a lot of complicated, deep issues that require a lot of finesse in understanding and how it relates to the educational environment. I'm an expert in education. I run public schools, I run high-performing public schools, and I also understand budget, I understand curriculum, I understand policy. And so all of those are what I'm able to use to underpin SCOE's effectiveness, both as an entity and also to support the districts. And thank you again for being here tonight, and I wish you good luck, Annie.
Annie?
Thank you, and thank you. It's very kind of you. So thank you to anybody who's listening to this and for taking an interest in SCOE and the part that it plays in your life, which may be a surprise to you, right? I think it's a surprise to a lot of us at some point. I just want to share that I do have lived experience, and I may not necessarily look like it, but I have the lived experience that's going to help me really connect to the students who are directly served by SCOE. And I'd like to bring more representation for their voice to the board and the decisions that are made countywide. I also recognize that I have not spent decades of my life in education except as a student or as a mother of somebody in the education system. I am not an expert in education, but what I am an expert in is knowing that I am not the expert. I am an expert in people, in relationships, and knowing how to leverage my relationships and make friends so that we can help each other together. So although I am not an expert, the experts are aplenty, and they have gotten us into some sticky situations at the moment. So I would like to be the non-expert to help us leverage our skills to make it a little better.
Thank you, and thank both of you for running for office. It's a real commitment and a public service, and I think the community really appreciates it, and we appreciate you being here tonight to answer specifically this community's questions. And thanks to the sponsors, Arden Arcade Advocates and the Greater Arden Chamber of Commerce, and especially to Access Sacramento, because this forum will be able to be viewed by the masses, thanks to them doing the recording. And thanks to Jay here for being our timer tonight. So, voters, you've received that beautiful pink envelope, haven't you all? If you haven't, you need to call the County Office of Elections. So be sure and vote, open it up, take your time, but don't wait too long. You can drop that ballot in the mail, or a very secure, and I guarantee they're so secure, those drop boxes that you see at the library and the markets. You can drop yours anywhere in the county. It doesn't have to be in your neighborhood. And then as it gets closer to the election, you can vote in person if you'd like, but don't wait until the end, okay? Don't wait till June 7th to drop your ballot. So now you're a more informed voter. You learn something about the SCOE, the Sacramento Office of Education. And so have a good evening.
Thank you, Paula.